a limb and say that Spliffy is bad with his larva. There, I said it. It's really just some basic advice. I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but yeah, your Queen as Zerg, your Nexus is Protoss, and your Orbital Command is Terran. They've all got energy, and you never want to see that energy cap, because it means that you're not using your economy bonus abilities to your advantage. Well, obviously it means you're not using them at all, so you definitely want to keep that energy rolling. You want to keep the larva going, keep the chrono boost going, keep the mules going, whatever. You want to keep that energy down at 0. Or as low as possible. Lair Tech is out now for Spliffy, so he's got his Mutalisks on the way. He's only now expanding. He is, however, expanding to this high yield, so maybe that will kick in and maybe that will give the Zerg player the advantage that he needs. No movement speed upgrade for the Banelings. That's maybe going to hurt him in the long run. I'm sending out 2 Hellions to scout. Possibly, what Hellions are made for is they're great. They do bonus damage to light, which is, yeah, workers have light type armor, so Hellions are designed for rushing into enemy bases. They do it against Zerg very well, but rushing into enemy bases and just frying as many workers as they can. And yeah, they are the new Vultures, so they are the new mech harassment units for Terran. Because of this, they're very fragile and just straight up attacks, as the Mutalisks are now going to demonstrate. These Hellions cannot fight back against these Mutalisks. They're going to be running around in confusion, trying now to dash up this ramp, but they're going to be met by a big old storm of Speedlings, and they're not even going to be doing any damage. These Hellions, one burst of splash damage going to harm those Zerglings, but they'll just regenerate that, no problem. Right now I'm just accumulating my Thor and Siege Tank forces. Those Thors with those 250 mil strike cannons, definitely gonna be seeing that in this game. I'm trying to keep up with my income right now. I'm dropping down some more production buildings, actually getting a starport. Maybe I'm looking for a little bit of Viking support to accompany my slow-moving mechs. I have this natural expansion decently saturated. At least I've got full income from these Vespene geysers. Spliffy really needs to saturate this high yield. He's got 3 larvae here, not really doing anything. But yeah, he is upgrading his Mutalisks. Taking a look at the units in play now. Definitely I have the economic advantage. I've got 33 SCVs to Spliffy's 23 drones. He's got a decent army in play. Compared to my 2 Thors, 8 siege tanks, and single Hellion, he's got a big old group of Zerglings, 4 Hydralisks now in play, and a relatively large group of Mutalisks, in addition to the Banelings, so yeah, he's got very nice unit diversity, but can he micro them appropriately? He's certainly going to be tested now as I'm moving out with this pair of Thors accompanied by these siege tanks, so let us see what they can get done. I'm throwing down really the obligatory missile turrets. Can't really hurt to have missile turrets, especially when you've got minerals to spare, and considering this is Desert Oasis where air attacks are relatively common. There's decently saturating his high yield expansion right now. Siege tanks moving in, however. I'm trying really hard not to let. I'm trying to keep up with my income. As you can see, I'm food capped again like a pro, but I'm trying to spend my minerals as much as possible. These siege tanks are sieging up now. I'm gonna get a scan down on this base, and they're gonna wail away on the drone line here. Meanwhile, these Mutalisks are trying to fend off these Thors with some decent micro, and you can see the splash damage actually is kicking in nicely to take down the Mutalisks. So these siege tanks have plenty of support. They're going to have fun just taking down all these buildings, although now they are out of range. So Spliffy's response is he's going to bring in this group of ground units down on this side to maybe try to deter these siege tanks, but he realizes now that these siege tanks are in a very intimidating high ground position, and the Zerg player has no vision here, so he's going to back off. Realizing that these siege tanks have run their course, they're going to back off, but the Zerg player on the opposite end of the map catching my mechs possibly out of position are just going to rush very quickly down the right side of the map and try to hit up my exposed base. My main mineral patch is almost mined out. Got a couple idle SCVs there. And myself, I need to be microing these guys a little bit better. They're just sort of chilling in the middle of the map. Right now my Hellion spots this army. I do say, oh, I gotta get my act together, and I'm trying to control group these mechs correctly. I'm considering a push on his base to try to counter these Zerglings, but I think I end up just defending this with the units I have coming out of my factories. So sieging up with that one tank, actually blocking these Thors, it's like the professional that I am. These small amount of Hellions are taken out very easily. These Banelings are going to blow up all over my SCVs, and there they go, taking out a few of them and bringing my orbital command into orange. So not burning, but still hurt. Now I say I've had about enough of this, moving in with my tanks, not sieging them, using their regular siege mode. They do pretty decent damage. They get a bonus versus armor, although these Hydralisks are not armored. They will do the job that they need, though, as I win this day with 3 tanks and a bunch of Thors burning up the rear. This orbital command is burning now. I need to save it. If I know what's good for me, I need to start repairing it. Now dropping these mules here in the attempt to recover the lost time that I did lose. But right now, it's not looking good for the Zerg player. His attack for the most part failed. It did halt my natural expansion pretty good, but I've got this pretty beastly army of Thors and a few siege tanks. They're probably just going to trounce what's left of the Zerg player. They are going to get spotted by this Overlord, but the Javelin missiles are going to more than spot that Overlord in return. I'm trying to land a 3rd expansion here at this island expansion, but the creep is going to deny the landing of that building pretty nice. These siege tanks now moving out, taking out those couple of Hydralisks. Yeah, just expressing my distaste at that expansion deny right there. Spliffy is having a lot of trouble spending his resources, as you can see. He's sitting at 2300 right now. Scan going down this expansion, getting some extra intel with this Hellion. But these siege tanks and Thors are going to use their strike cannons to just really, really obliterate this expansion. And Spliffy giving what is essentially a good game call here. I'm questioning him actually, because I think I would expect him to have a lot more expansions and maybe even an army to fend this off at his main base, but it turns out that he could not keep up with his income, he couldn't produce enough, and yet he was gas starved. So what I did do well in this game is